Hi, friends. My name is Eric Barnett, and I'm a singer-songwriter from Charleston, South Carolina, and you're listening to Songs of the Unsung. Songs of the Unsung is a podcast where I talk to fellow singer-songwriters about their influences, their songs, and their journey. On this episode, I'm talking to George Fox, aka Foxy G. George is a frontman for Big Stoner Creek and also runs the Songwriter Soapbox every Monday night at Chico Feo. George is a really genuine guy with a really compelling story. Enjoy. Thanks for coming out today, George.
Man, it's great to be here. Thanks for your interest.
Yeah, well, I'm very interested. I've enjoyed your music ever since I met you at Fleming Moore's place.
That's right.
He was having a barbecue, and you were there making barbecue.
That's right. I was. And going to do that at, not the barbecue part, but I do have a Fleming Moore show coming up soon.
Right on, yeah. Yeah, tell us about that.
I'm going to play, I think it's the 28th of May at Fleming's Underground Somerville backyard venue. Doing a co-bill with the wonderful Sam Ray.
Oh, excellent. At Fleming's place, you gave me a thing of your Foxy G's salty smoke, your smoked salt.
Cool. I probably did.
Yeah, it's excellent, man.
Thanks,
I use
man.
it a lot.
I'm still doing it. I actually just about out right now. I need to get to work and make some more. Southern Flavor magazine did a spot on my this past month.
Really?
And then everything I had just disappeared.
Good problems.
A good problem, other than I need, a workshop full of people making it, I guess.
Yeah.
It's another full-time job.
Well, if you're hearing this, check his stock because it is fantastic.
Thanks, man.
So let's just get this out of the way. Let's talk about the George Foxes you aren't.
Okay.
You're not. Let me know if you are. You're not the English dissenter from the 1600s.
I did not start the Quakers.
Yep, that's not you.
Nope.
Not the Canadian singer-songwriter George Fox.
Not that guy either.
Not George the Future Fox, the boxer.
I don't think so.
Okay, you don't think so?
I've got some unaccounted time lapses.
Some time
here.
slip
Yep.
away. That happens to the best of us, man.
I've woken up bruised.
So you are George A. Fox, a.k.a. Foxy G.
Foxy G, yes, sir.
All right, man. Originally from Kentucky.
I was born in Bowling Green, Kentucky, and then did some growing up outside of Lexington, Kentucky, right outside of Winchester. And that's where all the family still is. And kind of got that 1 foot into bluegrass heart, so to speak.
Were there players in your family?
There's music lovers in my family.
Okay.
And, maybe a piano player or two, some brass musicians. My dad could jump up and play the drums.
I don't.
He'd be that guy. Go, let me play the drums. But then he could really do it. And he could also do a pretty good Jerry Lee Lewis imitation on the piano for, just one little riff.
Yeah.
He learned, and then he knew 3 chords on the guitar.
3 chords on a guitar gets you pretty far.
You get a long way, man.
Man, if
It'll get you all the way to West Ashley.
Yeah. You buy capo, it gets you a lot farther.
Damn, that's like 36 chords.
Yeah.
48, something like that.
So there was music going on in the house then?
Always. My parents were people that turned the stereo up real loud and danced in the middle of the day in the den. And whenever they had soirees, which was, pretty often, it always ended up with the den full of people with the stereo cranking and people dancing.
Nice. What music was it?
Anything from lots of, the original rock and roll stuff, the Jerry Lee Lewis and Elvis Presley, then mutated into a combination of that and what became the outlaw country movement, the Willie and Waylon.
And the boys.
Redheaded Stranger. I remember my dad buying that record when he bought his new turntable and Technique speakers and all this stuff. It came home with Redheaded Stranger.
All right. Yeah, you can do a lot worse than listening to Willie Nelson growing up.
You're right about that. Or being old or anything. God love Willie.
Yeah, man. When did you start playing guitar?
I started and stopped a few times, but I think my first guitar lessons were around 6 years old.
Wow.
You would think I would be a lot better. But I typically have always get caught up in thinking about a song or a lyric and not practicing my guitar stuff.
I've heard plenty of virtuosic guitar players that can't write a good song
Right.
to save their lives.
So it works out well.
It works out.
I play with some guys who can play a lot better than me, and I know that the reason I do that is because I've written some, what I like to think of.
Songs.
Well, thank you. I aspire to upper level mediocrity.
Were you writing songs at an early age?
I started writing songs in high school, but they were kind of parody songs. I would take somebody else's song, I would try to change words and make it funny. And it wasn't until I went to college, in my first week of college at the University of South Carolina, I ran into this little band called the Blue Laws playing this fraternity, what do they call them, a Rush event.
Uh-huh.
And the Blue Laws were fronted by amazing songwriter and performer Danielle Howell. She was still in high school, and I was a freshman in college, and she blew my mind.
Wow.
And I joined the fraternity based upon I didn't even plan to join a fraternity or anything like that. I said, that guy that was playing there in her band was a member of the fraternity, and I knew I had to get close to whatever these people were doing. And then I was so enamored and just blown away, because you could take whatever Danielle is right now, that force of nature that she is, when she was 17 years old, it was magnified tenfold.
Yeah, had the energy, and it was
Oh
raw
my
and
God,
unpolished.
it was raw and just
Yeah.
blam in your face. And like I say, I was just completely blown away by her. And then I talked to her about songwriting, and she gave me some great advice and told me not to worry about what anybody was going to think about what I was doing, and just write it for myself and not care. And that really kind of set me free and started me, writing stuff, making stuff up.
That's fantastic advice.
Coupled with the fact that every time I learned somebody else's song, people told me how wrong I was doing it. I said, well, if I make up my own song, nobody can really tell me I'm doing it wrong.
Yeah. Right on, man. That is great advice. I do have people on here that I talk to that they really want to write a song that becomes a hit, or wants to write a song that somebody else wants to sing. While that, can certainly buy some cars and houses, that's not necessarily a thing I kind of connect with. To me, songs are very personal.
Me too. And I'm trying to work towards writing more universal,
It's hard to write fiction, isn't it?
It really is. Or you can make personal songs that, you can leave out some of the more personal details and maybe cultivate them towards a more universal feel. But
you can kind of tweak it to protect the innocent, or more often protect the guilty.
I just put my granddaughter's name in the last song I wrote, so that's pretty personal.
Awesome.
It rhymed.
What's your granddaughter's name?
Eliza Jade.
Eliza Jade. Right on. So at USC, is that where you met Jamie?
That is where I met Jamie Crisp. Yep, for the first time. He was playing in a band called Psycho Toy at that point, which was a punk band, and I didn't really know him well then. But he was also somebody I would go see at Rockefellers and stuff, and I was just like, wanted to be part of this rock and roll scene that was going on, but I was so not. I was just a geeky 18-year-old from Orangeburg in all the way to Columbia, 45 miles away to the big city for college.
Yeah.
And we'd go see them. And it wasn't until I moved to Mount Pleasant, 1987, along with Jesse Pritchard, that Jamie and those guys ended up somehow connecting with us and needing a place to stay when they were in town to play Club Dog Alley downtown. And they ended up crashing on our couch, and that started our friendship. I guess that's been 30 years.
Sometimes it's running into the right people at just the right time in your life, man.
It is always that.
Yeah. And
I mean, if we look at it right, everybody that we run into are the right people that we were for that time in your life.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people often think back and think, if I could do it all again, I would do this differently. I would do this differently. But at any given point, I look at my life and I think anything differently, I wouldn't be right here, right now. And there's nothing makes me happier than being right here, right now.
Right.
So yeah, that's cool that, man, you ran into just the right people.
And Jesse Pritchard, the guy that I still played a gig with last night and is still in Big Stoner Creek, he and I were on the same JV football team.
Really?
Really. I was 2 years ahead of him. I was in the 9th grade. He was in the 7th grade. But shortly after that, we were picking together on tailgates of trucks and, and vacant lots at night, bonfires going and stuff. And
excellent. Was that in Orangeburg? Or
Orangeburg.
Orangeburg.
Yep.
Right on. Jamie's a Kentucky guy also.
He was born in Louisville. And we've all traveled up there and met his family, and they've all been to meet my family up there where actually Big Stoner Creek runs through right near where our little family farm and stuff is. So we used to take everybody on a pilgrimage to the actual creek.
Got to see it.
You got to get in it.
That's
right. Got to get in and do a little mud crawling. We had a couple bottles of the Big Stoner Creek water that we rode around with.
Got to get baptized in the creek.
Got to get a little baptized in that creek.
How did y'all end up in Folly?
Well, I took the long road to Folly, and I don't know why I waited so long to move out there. I lived all over Charleston or Mount Pleasant. I even lived right out here down Wapu Road. Never lived at Folly. And I would always try to get my friends to come downtown that lived on Folly, and they'd be like, "Oh, I don't know, man, it's so far away." I go, "What do you mean so far away? I just rode my bicycle over there yesterday."
Right,
yeah, I can't. But now that I live on Folly, I totally get it.
You're right.
Why do I want to leave? It's got everything I need right here. There's a beach, it's bicycle.
There's some people, like if you're not familiar with Charleston, South Carolina, there are its sections like any city, and Folly Beach is its own thing. It's a different world, and as is every section. But sometimes you meet people, and you're like, "That's a Folly person,"
right?
And man, you're a Folly guy.
I like it. I feel like I found a home there, and I want to ride it out as long as I can afford to be over there.
I feel like the Folly people, and when I say Folly people, that's, quotation marks, capitalize it, italicize it. Those are the kind of folks that, they're not the snowbirds, they're not the tourists. They are the folks that if those bridges fell in the water one day,
be all right.
They'd be fine.
Yeah. Be all right. I've thought about that. I've been like, how can we slow this thing down?
Yeah.
I'm not going to blow up the bridge. I'm not saying that.
So, when did Big Stoner Creek start?
About 1991.
91.
Yep. We were, you probably weren't here for it, but there was a really cool rock and roll spot downtown on Cumberland Street called Cumberland's Bar and Grill. And I had every Tuesday night gig there that they made it up. They called it Hillbilly George Fox and the Two Live Mudruckers. And it was just me and then whoever I could get to come jam with me.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I kept getting the same three people. It was Chris Erbland on drums. Jonathan Gray went on to play with Jump Little Children on bass.
Yeah.
And Hawk Morphy, fiddle player, mandolin player. He played 27 instruments.
Wow.
And we kept doing it over and over and over again and decided that, hey, let's be a band.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I've always wanted to name a band after that creek up there in Bluegrass Hills of Kentucky. They said, let's do it. And then the next thing you know, we played 1,800 gigs together.
Damn.
Something like that. Well, and then Jonathan left and we got Jamie.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was, nobody ever quit a band better than Jonathan Gray did, I don't think.
How'd that happen?
Well, it's a very interesting story. To me, it's interesting anyway. I just run into Jamie Crisp at Black Mountain Music Festival in Black Mountain, North Carolina. He said, Fox, man, I really like what you and Big Stoner Creek are doing. If you ever need a bass player, I would like to do it. And I go, man, that's great, Jamie, but our bass player is solid. He ain't going nowhere. Cut to next week. We're walking down the Market Street, getting ready to play at T-Bones or something. I can't even remember where, but there were these three guys busking in the street, and they were these young guys, and you could tell they were good. One of them was Jay Clifford, and another guy, the Bivens brothers were there, and I saw them. They were, art school kids from Winston-Salem, and Jonathan was in the music program at College of Charleston, and they were about the same age. And whenever I saw them, I saw this spark of chemistry between these guys in real time. And I swear within 30 seconds of them meeting, I said, I just lost my bass player. And sure enough, next week I was calling Jamie up going, hey, man, remember when you said you wanted to play with Big Stoner Creek? He said, yes, let's do it. He packed his bags and moved 2 days, 2 days to Charleston. In 4 days, he was playing with us. We sat there in a storage unit for 12 or 18 hours or something like that, and
damn, man,
learned a whole set of material.
Once again, man, Providence. It was all meant to happen that way.
Meant to happen.
Yeah.
It's all unfolding as it should.
Yeah. So, all together, Big Stoner Creek's been together 31 years.
We had a long break.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've all been playing, and we played in various different other orchestrations that weren't necessarily called Big Stoner Creek, but playing all the same songs.
Sure. Yeah. So I did a little research, read on the website. You kind of took a little break to raise a son.
I did. And now he's my drummer.
Now he's your drummer.
Yep.
You did it right.
Well, I'm really proud of him, Jeremiah Fox. He is just a great person, for one. And that being said, that's not why he's got the job. He's got the job because he's a really good drummer. And so it's just got lucky that he's a great drummer. He knows the music. He's been around that music since, the womb.
Yeah.
And so it comes naturally to him. And I'm tickled pink not only get to make music with Jeremiah, but I'm just tickled that your kid will hang out with you.
Yeah.
And your buddies and really be an integral part of the band. And we need we need an engine, like a young, strong motor that ain't scared to go fast back there.
Did he start playing at a young age?
I got him his first kit when he was 4.
Okay, you planned this, George. You planned it. No.
I orchestrated the whole thing.
I mean, it worked.
It's all coming together.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And did he resist for a while? I'd
never made him play. I just provided he expressed interest at a young age in beating on things rhythmically. And so I just wanted to make sure that he had an opportunity. But if you ever, I never wanted to be made to practice or made to do anything. I would resist that completely in spite of myself.
If I was a kid and you told me to do something, you could be sure I'd do the opposite thing.
John Hartford, I got to hear him talk one time, or a few times, but this one time in particular, it was like a songwriter workshop or some type of workshop. Could have been a banjo workshop. I don't know. I was just going to it to see John Hartford.
Yeah.
Are you aware? You know John Hartford?
A little
Gentle
bit, yes.
on My Mind.
Yes.
He wrote that song, Glenn Campbell, Good Time Hour. Well, he is just master fiddle player, banjo player, guitar player, songwriter, extraordinaire, and just a legend. And some lady says, hey, John, how can I get my kids involved in music? I really want them to do this. And he said, tell them to keep their damn hands off your guitar. That's the best thing you can do right there. Don't touch that.
Right. Oh, man.
And the next thing you know, they're sneaking in the closet in the middle of the night.
Well, that's so cool, man. It's so cool to have your son. And I'll tell you, I've listened to this album forward, backwards, just forwards mainly. But
be careful of playing it backwards.
Oh, you got some messages in there.
Just don't know what might happen.
About the Folly Bridge. Gotcha. But yeah, man, as soon as I put this thing on, it did not take long for me to start listening to this record and go, there's some players in Big Stoner Creek.
Well, there are some players in Big Stoner Creek.
There's some players.
And all those guys are great. And the guy who's playing fiddle and mandolin on it, because of our original fiddle guy, Hawk, was tragically killed by a drunk driver about 11 or 12 years ago, 13, something like that. But this guy, Don Lewis, his dad is Ralph Lewis, who was a bluegrass boy with Bill Monroe and the Bluegrass Boys.
Okay.
And Don is a prodigy who he's played the Grand Ole Opry at 11 years old.
Wow.
Bill Monroe gave him a mandolin when he was a kid.
Okay.
I have seen the Hee Haw with him on there playing with Ronnie Millsap. Kenny Baker, who is a renowned fiddle player, who also played with Bill Monroe and the Bluegrass Boys, gave 3 teenagers fiddles that he said were the future of fiddle music in this country. He gave one to Stuart Duncan, one to Alison Krauss, and one to Don Lewis. And that's who's playing on this record. We got to know him because he dated my sister for a while. And even though they split up, he has stayed close to our whole family, really, and feel very fortunate to get to play with him. And he's going to come down. He's going to come down and do a gig with us on the 24th of June. And he's going to play with us, I think, when we go up to Asheville for something in July as well.
That's awesome. I've seen you play with Jesse, and Jesse's a hell of a guitar player as well.
He can play.
And I know Jamie, and Jamie's
solid as
he's
a rock.
what you want out of a bass player. He's gonna do it. You can forget about him because he's gonna do it.
He's gonna hold down the bottom end for sure. And he sings pretty good too.
That's right, man. And so this record, Big Stoner Creek, self-titled album.
Because we've done other projects before, and for some reason we never, people, you're supposed to do your first record, call it your name, and we never did. And there were lots of ideas getting tossed around on this one, and I just said, man, let's just simplify this. Let's just call it what we are.
Yeah, I looked at the Kickstarter project you'd done when you were kind of getting the funding to put this thing together, and you said this was sort of all of your dreams to like go and do the real thing in the studio and make it happen.
Right. And that's still my dream. My dream is to do it again.
Yeah.
Right.
Excellent.
I've got a new list at home that says new record right on it. And,
that's awesome. That's awesome. So Fairweather Studio, Omar. I know Omar.
Yep.
Yeah. He's a solid drummer too.
Solid. And has just a history of being involved in music, and working at Fairweather Studio was an absolute total pleasure to be involved with that. It feels like home, relaxed. He was not one of these, he was easy on the clock kind of things when there was a break or something like that. And
excellent.
Very accommodating. And Josh Roberts, who produced, was also instrumental in making this happen.
What kind of role did he take on? Did you guys sort of have arrangements sort of worked out?
We had arrangements. He did some tightening up of a couple of things, but he kept us focused, and it was easier for an outside person that we all respected to be delegating than to get bogged down in us doing it. It's hard sometimes as a band to, hear
sometimes
each other's
you need
ideas.
to be told when to just stop fiddling with something and just do that. Yeah.
I mean, he was a good coach about drawing out another take or something, or we're almost there. And I think one of the things that helped us the most with this was that we did like several in Fairweather Studios rehearsals. We actually rented the space and went in there, plugged in. I was not concerned, but I knew it was Jeremiah's young. He'd never been in a studio situation before. Didn't know how he would react when you get in there and the phones are on. And so I said, well, let's practice there, a few times. And we recorded, and we listened, we went over the arrangements and all that, and did a lot of pre-recording work. But it turns out Jeremiah did better than anybody. He was
Turned out he's a pro.
Solid pro.
There's something to be said about feeling a room out. If the very first time that you're playing a song in a room, in a particular environment, is being recorded, it's such a weird thing.
I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah, there's a disconnect there. But if you feel like you're playing in your living room,
right,
you get a different performance.
Yeah, we'd already spent like 4 days there and 4 different practices in there, all hooked up in the same places we were going to be when we recorded, and that was very economical. For us to do that. I'm not going to quote the price. I don't know if he gave us a deal or whatever, but it was almost economical enough to justify doing it more often, just for regular practice. it's easy to get distracted at your house or
Yeah.
you could be loud there without any repercussions.
Yeah.
You know. This is cool.
So
Very
when you were
positive.
laying down the tracks, was it how much of it was live?
Well, we played everything live together in the studio, and we captured, a lot of stuff. We went back and, redid vocals.
Sure.
Redid my acoustic guitar because we were getting too much bleed from some things.
Yeah.
But for the most part, most of the playing was live, and I think, to me, I just can't ever imagine building it backwards. You know what?
I do. It sounds like people in a room. Personally,
Sounds like the songs are being played.
Yeah, yeah,
And they're imperfect. They're not perfect, and we weren't trying to be perfect, and did not have the budget, nor did we want to be perfect. There's definitely a human element to them that, for whatever reason, thankfully, I appreciate my human element.
That's good, man. I mean, you can feel a vibe when it's people in a room playing. And just because of where I came from, there was really no players in my hometown. My record I made, I play everything and I build it up from scratch. And I do believe that it suffers from that. I think it sounds like it. I think it sounds like it's put together. It doesn't have this cohesiveness.
It doesn't have the energy.
Yeah, it doesn't have the immersive cohesiveness of people in a room feeding off of each other and I'm just not a drummer, so.
Right. I did want to also mention one of the things that we went back and added. Of course, Donnie, if you hear fiddle and mandolin on a song, we either went back and added that because, when you have somebody that caliber in a chance to do it, I didn't want to waste the ability to do it. And then we also, I don't know if you're familiar with the instrument called the quattro. Do you know the quattro?
Is that like
Puerto
8
Rican
strings?
It's 8 strings tuned in fourths.
Yeah.
Jesse can play the hell out of a
really
quattro, and we added it on 2 songs. You wouldn't even know it if I pointed it out to you. You would go, "Oh, that's what that." It just gives it just a little texture of flavor. So that was kind of cool. He's self-proclaimed best quattro player in a Tri-County area.
I'll get behind that, man. Not because of lack of players, but we'll go with
right.
it. Yeah. I'm a big fan of, I do like putting a few little things on a record and kind of putting it down low enough that maybe you don't hear it, but if you took it away, there'd be a little bit of a vibe missing. Yeah, man. I even noticed there's a couple tracks on there where there is a low harmony.
Jamie Crisp, yep.
Yeah. I'm talking like, I'm listening.
Low.
I'm talking low.
And I've been after him to do that for a long time, but it's really hard to do in a live situation with a SM58.
Yeah. It's just hard to play
Omar had a $6,000 microphone that you could whisper into. So
sure.
Jamie was able to get down there, and I really like that because everybody's all excited about people singing high harmonies and high and shit. What about them low?
Oh, man.
What down there?
Was it? Is it Trainwreck? There's a real low one on, especially like those choruses.
Trainwreck or Nothing in the Middle. Yeah. Nothing in the Middle, I think's got a low one on there.
And what I enjoy about this record too, man, is it all blends together, but stylistically, I mean, there's songs where you feel like that's a bluegrass vibe. I could hear a 4-piece bluegrass doing this. And there's a song, Hey Colleen, it's rockabilly.
It's rock and roll.
Yeah, it's rock and roll. Like
right out of the gate.
Yeah.
I feel like the way it starts with Jesse goes kind of like a Chuck Berry lick, and then the drums come in, and I feel like it's like you're them revving up your hot rod, and you just drop it down into low, and it just peels right out, just bang.
Yeah.
And that fiddle solo before the break is as crazy a fiddle thing as I've ever heard in my entire life.
That's wild.
Yeah,
that's why I'm listening. I'm listening, and like, Hey Colleen comes in right after Trainwreck. And I love the vibe of Trainwreck because it's got like this like spacey sort of ethereal kind of vibe to it, and I really love the vibe of it.
Thanks.
And I'm like, this is track 2, and I'm loving this record. And then Hey Colleen blasts in, and there's like, if you have a 57 Chevy and you're looking for a song to blast through those speakers, look no further, man, because that's a song for putting in a jukebox. That's a song for just blasting and losing yourself for 3 minutes and 37 seconds. Yeah,
it's a short one, or it is a more preferred length of time, I guess, for some people.
But man, I'm a really big fan of. I like Books, Seeds, and Bullets. Lyrically, I really love that song. And that's a song where like it's like number 8 in the album, and it comes up, and I'm like, oh, they're not falling off. Like sometimes you listen to an album, and those first 5 tracks, they're going to be the good 5 tracks, and then you get to the point where track 8, track 9, it kind of falls off a little bit, and they put a little bit of filler in there or what have you. And I'm listening, I was like, oh no, this is just going to be a good album all the way through. I dig on it. And
I think Figuring It Out's a strong one, second to the last too. I think all the songs are good. We went around and around about the order, and Jesse convinced me that he's a record guy, and he goes, George, I listen to a record and I give it 3 songs. If I like the first 3 songs, then I continue. So let's put 3 heavy hitters right there at the beginning, and then ease it on back at near the end. Not ease it on back quality wise, but ease it on back
tempo wise and vibe wise. Yeah.
Josh thought, and I did thought Book, Seeds, and Bullets might need to be closer to the front, but when you're in a band, it's all about compromising. And
that's a high quality tune, man.
Thanks. That was a interesting song choice. It marked, I guess, it was a revelation to me, which is going to sound really weird being a songwriter, that I finally started carrying around a notebook and a pen and writing down things that I thought were interesting. What a novel concept, right?
I always tell myself I should do that, and then I don't.
And I was over at the Soapbox one night that I do at Chico Feo, and this friend of ours, Juliet, said, we were just having a conversation. I said, so how'd you spend the quarantine? And she goes, I've been saving Books, Seeds, and Bullets, baby. And everything's gone to hell since they closed that roller rink. That's what she said. Man. I said, holy crap. I'm going home. I'm going home right now. When this is done, I'm going to go write Books, Seeds, and Bullets. Because to me, it says a lot. It says what's important.
Yeah.
Your mind and your spirit, providing for the future, and being able to, if get you a squirrel or get you a rabbit or defend yourself, all of those things.
It combines the practical and the metaphorical, and it makes it happen.
With hopefully not coming off with too much of a prepper vibe.
So why don't you play us a tune off the record?
All right. I'll play Figuring It Out. I wrote rough estimate, 317 songs about unrequited love, and I figured it was time to change things up a little bit. So I wrote a song about 3 historical figures that also like to make things up, and I called it Figuring It Out, One Mistake at a Time. And I'm hoping that I eventually run out of mistakes to make if I don't repeat. Or is it a limitless pool of mistakes to be made? Infinite number?
I think we just keep going back to the well, but we're always trying to figure it out.
Figuring it out.
Let's hear it.
Here we go. Well, old Ben Franklin by his stove getting warm. He's eating salted crackers, he got his bifocals on. He's waiting on the mailman to bring the almanac so he can check out the personals in the very back. Poor Richard calls for rain. Benny thinks he might take a walk outside and fly himself a kite. Oh, figuring it out, one mistake at a time. Damned if the reasons ain't worth all of the rhyme. I ain't waiting on no one to show me the way. Oh, I'm figuring it out. Takes the most of my day. Well, Thomas Edison alone is watching TV in the dark when an idea came upon him. It crossed his mind like a spark. He says, I think I'll make a light bulb. I won't have to hide all alone in the dark trying to read my TV guide. I'm gonna take a bunch of pictures, teach them how to move, and cram a bunch of music down into a deeper groove. Oh, figuring it out, one mistake at a time. Damned if the reasons ain't worth all of the rhyme. I ain't waiting on no one to show me the way. Oh, I'm figuring it out. Takes the most of my day. Oh, pick it, George. That's what I call me. I quit answering, though. Those awkward pauses made me feel awkward. Well, Da Vinci's on a rooftop with a pair of cardboard wings. He's got a stack of empty bottles and a new decoder ring. He says, I wonder what would happen if I timed the wind just right and surrender inhibition. Jump with all my might. Well, jump's just what he did. He lingered for a while, and just before he hit the ground, he saw Mona Lisa smile. Oh, figuring it out, one mistake at a time. Damned if the reasons ain't worth all of the rhyme. I ain't waiting on no one to show me the way. Oh, I'm figuring it out. Takes the most of my day. Oh, I'm figuring it out. Takes the most of my day.
Awesome, man.
Thank you.
So how long did you guys work on the record for?
The actual recording of it?
Yeah.
We were in the studio for 4.5 days.
Wow, that's not a lot of time.
It's not. That was our goal. Well, we didn't have a lot of money.
Yeah.
You could spend money quick. And that was why we spent it on the, the work, and tried to have a really good idea, a roadmap of where we were going and what we wanted to accomplish in that time period.
Well, if you don't have the homework worked out before you get in the studio, and you're basically writing songs in the studio, or you're rehearsing,
which would be fun.
Yeah, it'd be great to have that budget. It'd be great to be the Beatles and just be able to do that, you know? But yeah,
one day.
Nothing, although, man, nothing focuses better than a deadline.
Right.
And it makes you shit or get off the pot, basically. It makes you pull it together.
And I think you can lose what you captured in by messing with stuff too much.
Yeah. It's hard to have energy past take 5.
Or you maybe caught all this great stuff, but then you just keep tweaking and keep messing, and you lose something.
I have 2 people that every time I do anything, I record all my own music and I play all the instruments, but I have 2 people that I call my producers, and basically their job is to take it out of my hands when it's done. Or I'll just keep tweaking and keep playing with it and ruin it and basically lose the plot.
Right.
And you just got to know when to stop. It sounds like, if everybody's playing in a room and it kind of the energy that was going into it, to me, it sounds like as an engineer, this is kind of something that sort of would mix itself too. Was a lot of mixing going on, or did it just?
Now, when we got to the mixing part, that went on for some time, but it was mainly due to how the process worked, and it was we weren't there when it's being mixed.
Sure.
Omar would do a rough mix, and then he would send it to essentially me and Josh.
Uh-huh.
And then Josh and I would have to find the time. We would listen to it separately,
mm-hmm.
and then we would converse about what we thought, and then we would take our notes to Omar, who would make these adjustments, and then send it back to us. And really, after a couple of songs, he really anticipated what we were going to say, and it got quicker. But it did. I wasn't prepared for how long that process took.
I mean, if it has to do that much bouncing around, that's right. Just the logistics.
It took a couple of months of bouncing around.
But now that it is a thing, now that it's a solid object in your hands, how do you feel about it?
I feel great. I'm proud of the body of work. I'm happy to have played with and made that with people that I love.
Yeah.
My friends, and to create something that, do I have aspirations of it being a mega hit? No, we're playing Americana. We're music. Not that can't be great, but you're dragging anchor whenever you try to make money doing stuff like that. I think.
I don't know. You don't want to lose the love of it.
Don't want to lose the love.
And you can tell that you're making it with the love, and that's the most important thing. It's not like you made it all out of love and it's a bad album. It's a great, like I said, man, I put this record on and it was at headphones for a while, and then I was with people I work with. I was like, listen to this, man. I know this guy. This is. And they're like, damn, that's good.
A lot of people seem surprised, too. I don't know. I guess it was because maybe I was gone for some time around here. And, but we definitely still have a section of people that were fans of ours and friends of ours from the beginning.
Yeah.
That are still out there. It's a little daunting. It's a new world. When we made our last record, there was no such thing as streaming platforms.
Yeah.
The only way you could get a record to somebody was that they had to either get it in a record store and we had a label support. We went out and played in cities, and the record was there. I remember my mind being blown when we went to Colorado for the first time, and we're playing a really nice club out there. There were people singing some of my songs in Colorado.
Yeah, I haven't heard the other record.
Because you're going to hear them. I'm going to start I'm going to go into the archives and stick them out there in the world.
Nice.
I should have probably done that prior to releasing the new one, but I really felt like it was important to get a new body of work out there to give people, because we're trying to play more gigs.
You don't want the first thing to be the most readily available to not be the current thing.
Right.
Yeah, I can dig on that. I can't wait to hear the other records, man.
There'll be a single coming out on May 20th.
Okay.
Off of our EP called Cambio. The song's called Glory, Glory, which was a great experience making that record. We had a amazing Hammond B3 player playing with us. It was like me, guitar, Hawk, fiddle, Hammond B3, bass, and drums, and piano. So I was like, what the hell? I'm going to start sticking it out there.
What's your thoughts about having label support versus kind of doing this yourself?
It's just a whole new world. It's really nice to be able to do it yourself and put it out there in the ether sphere and see that somebody in Poland listened to it, or a couple people in the Netherlands and stuff. But it's also daunting too, because there's just so much out there that's just like you're just like this little bitty water droplet in the middle of the Indian Ocean.
It democratizes everything, but at the same time, it dilutes it.
Right.
When it comes to your songwriting, do you have any kind of tried and true methods? Do you have something that you like? This is my songwriting hat that I put on, and
well, a little bit. I mean, actually breaking out a pen and a piece of paper is about the biggest formula I've got, and just saying, all right, you're going to write something. But I usually start, if I have an idea or a line, or somebody says something like book seeds and bullets, or I get an idea for a song, I'll just start looking for a groove that I can play over and over and start just kind of singing along to till it just happens.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes I just don't even know how or why. It's not like I lose consciousness or anything and it comes out. It's just like,
song
boom,
just sneaks up on you.
Yeah, it just sneaks up. Like you're fishing. And you catch a lot more fish if you keep throwing your line in the water.
Yeah. Do you sit down with the guitar and you kind of record stuff on your phone, or
I will get an idea and record it on the phone, and so I don't, because if you can lose that groove if you don't have a reminder of what it was. Even, I mean, I can lose what I was doing, like by the time I get up and go pour myself a glass of tea or something, and I come back and go, oh my God, how come this isn't as cool as it was 5 minutes ago?
Such a delicate
So the phone
thing.
helps a lot.
Who are your songwriting influences?
Well, Danielle Howell, probably the biggest one in my life. Not that you would ever compare my songwriting to hers, but that all in creativity and just genius ability to transform thought into music and rhyme is somebody I think about every time I'm writing a song. And then beyond her, I would say John Prine and Bob Dylan.
Are there any songs out there that you consider to be sort of the pinnacle of songwriting? Like you listen to a song and you go, damn, they did it.
That's a great question. I've got some favorite songs for sure. One of them is Don't Think Twice, It's All Right by Bob Dylan, which I think is an amazing song. It could be anything, almost anything the Beatles did, almost all of it. Yeah. It's really, I have a hard time with if I get to thinking about that, thinking about them compared to what I'm doing. I hate to even call myself a songwriter. I like to think I just make stuff up, make shit up.
If you ever even attempt to compare yourself to the Beatles, I mean, I always think in terms of like, oh man, they broke up when like they were under 30 when they broke up, and I'm 40, and that's not even old. But man, how did they do that in 8 years?
Well, it helped that they're musical geniuses.
Yeah,
that didn't hurt.
That does
and
help.
They ended up in a situation where they had all the tools at their disposal and apparently a limitless budget.
Yeah.
To just live in the studio. And I go, wow, what would it ever be like just to spend a week with your band just playing all day long? I mean, we'd probably break up too. But something really cool might happen if you just got beyond that. Well, I gotta go pick up my laundry or whatever kind of thing.
They lived on the cutting edge of music.
They were the cutting edge.
Yeah.
They were inventing the stuff that everybody uses now. And they were doing it with 4 tracks.
Yeah.
And tape. They were turning stuff around and backwards. And I don't know. I'm sure you've watched the McCartney 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
It's mind-boggling. Hill now is definitely enshrined as my favorite Beatle.
I'm a Paul guy.
They've all been my favorite at some point or the other, but that both the Get Back and that McCartney 1, 2, 3 just made me go. Paul's the guy hearing everything.
I'm a fan of what Paul could even bring to other Beatles music.
Right.
I'm not going to make the argument that he was the best songwriter in the Beatles. I won't make that argument because John wrote a lot edgier things, and George ended up writing just some beautiful stuff at the end there.
I think Paul heard all the parts, though.
Yes.
You know, where everybody else was just like me. I'm just writing a song. It's me and my guitar. Paul heard, the celestial music of the spheres.
Paul decorated the cake.
The cake.
You listen to like something, like Harrison something, and you take that bass line out, and it's still a beautiful song.
I got chills right here just thinking about that. And
oh my God.
How's that? You can't fake that. That's magic. I'm thinking about music that these people made, and it's I'm sure there's 3 people out there that say that guy's an idiot. The Beatles suck, but
nah, I'll fight anybody. Fist fight if I have
all 3
to.
of them.
Yeah. I take it just from what we're talking about. Are you an albums guy?
I love albums.
What are your, like, if I tell you we're going to Desert Island, you get to bring 5 albums. What are your albums?
Oh, wow.
And it can be more than 5, but what's your go-to?
Leon Russell, Live 1972.
Okay, yeah.
John Hartford, Aeroplane. Bob Dylan, Blonde on Blonde.
Oh.
Joni Mitchell, Blue.
And
how many is that?
I don't know.
I think that was maybe 4.
You can keep naming great albums all day. I'm in.
I don't know. Maybe even the freewheeling Bob Dylan record blew my mind. Or Revolver. What the hell am I talking about? Exile on Main Street.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Awesome, man.
Yeah, I tried to. And that record right there was thought of as an album. And actually, it's the order we would have done it in if it had been side A and side B, 5 on one and 5 on the other.
Yep.
And hopefully we will turn it into a piece of vinyl one day.
Yeah, I tried to think of my record in terms of like, okay, 40 minutes, and then what's the split? And
right.
I even thought
same thing too. We're right at the max. I think that record comes out to right at 21 minutes a side.
Yep. I even thought in terms of like, okay, track 5, that ends side 1, and then when you flip it, this is what begins. I'm an album guy through and through. Right. That's what I thought about.
I like that cohesive thought. Apparently, a lot of people are getting away from that today, but
that's fine. There's so much room in music. Like
there is.
There's things I don't care for, and I'm not against it. It's just there's
not your cup of tea.
Yeah, well, there's all this stuff happening over here, and if it makes people happy, super. And then there's so much that there can also be something over here that blows my skirt up. You know what I'm saying? And I'm into it. As long as there's recorded music, even if it is only in bits and bytes in the digital stream, people are gonna make 8 to 12 to 15 songs that work together, and that's still going to happen.
Right.
And if it doesn't, then...
And we're probably going to go back. Everything's a pendulum swinging. There'll be for all the people that aren't doing that, that's just going to make the people that like it want to do it more.
Sure, it'll get cool again, and then everybody will do it.
I mean, that thing I do on Mondays, I'm blown away by the audience's receptivity of people making stuff up.
Tell me about the soapbox. George is talking about the songwriter soapbox out at Chico Feo. Tell me about that.
Man, it's a open forum. It's kind of, I don't like the term open mic. That implies anybody can come. But you got to be a songwriter or a poet or an author. I don't care, as long as you're making it up yourself, comedian, whatever. And we have had so much success, and what's made it happen is we've got an audience that comes out and they will drink a beer, having fun, whooping and hollering, and then a poet gets up there to read their poetry, and you can hear a pin drop. You got 150 people that settle down, and they're just like, they're eating this up. They're so invested in seeing these people triumph. And a lot of people, it's their first time doing the stuff. But as a result of the audience being willing to listen and open to receiving this, we keep getting amazing established artists come play that are pro musicians that are working, and it's their night off, and they come and play for free.
Yeah.
For 15 or 20 minutes. And I'm seeing bands meet there. People are getting together, collaborating. Just this week, we had Dan Lottie came from, are you familiar with Danger Muffin?
Yeah. Yeah.
One of the songwriters from Danger Muffin came and did a set. We had Joel Timmons from Soul Driven Train, and his wife Shelby Means, who's on the road with Molly Tuttle. We're just there Monday night. She's in between. She's at home for like 4 days, and she's out there at the Soapbox, making music, hanging out, and it's a scene, man.
I gotta say, man, I feel so bad of how rarely I'm able to make it out.
Well, I don't, because you're working, and
well, it's mostly that I get up. It's on Monday, and I get up at 5:30 on Tuesday, and I need that not make that an excuse and get out, because I will say that it is a rare and beautiful thing that you have out there. The only thing it even remotely reminds me of is, for a while, Danielle was doing Holy City Confessionals.
Well, that was the inspiration for me wanting to do it. When they asked me, I was just walking by Chico Feo one day, and they said, "Hey, George, you want to host the open mic night?" And I said, "Hell no." And then I went on into Burt's there and got me a 12-pack of Pabst Blue Ribbon, and thought to myself, "George, you just quit your job, and this is kind of music related. You should probably take this opportunity on a Monday night." And I walked back out, and I said, "Would you have any problem with me making an open situation for people who write their own stuff?" And they said, "We don't care what you do with it," with no expectation of it being what it is now. And now it's one of their best nights, Monday night.
I would think so.
I would like to say we had maybe 200 people there this past Monday.
And it's the few times I've been there, it's a fellowship. I mean, it's a brother and sisterhood. It's people seeing each other that haven't seen each other in a week since they were there, and sharing their songs. And one time I was even able to bring my wife, and I was nudging her. "Hey, that guy over there, wait till you see him go up, and wait till you see, that's Fleming's brother. Wait till you see Wesley go up, and it's always going to be irreverent and amazing. And wait till you see him play and her play." And yeah,
I felt bad. Mike Kaufman was our featured artist the other day, who's amazing finger picker and a great songwriter and stuff. And I get a phone call from Hans Wenzel.
Yeah.
And he says, "Hey, George, you got any room for me out there? I want to come play." And I go, "Yeah, I got some." And then I made it a point to not put Mike right after Hans, because his, nothing against, I wouldn't want to go right after Hans.
Right, yeah.
His vocal ability is amazing.
Right.
His songs are good, and he just lights so I had sandwiched one other unsuspecting person in between.
Yeah.
But then something happened that they were late, and I had to put Hans right there after Mike, and I was like, and he triumphed, and it was wonderful, but I did feel bad to
here's a weight to carry, Mike.
Yeah,
do your best. Yeah. And even myself, I'm a quiet kind of guy. My songs are generally pretty slow, pretty low energy, sort of lyric and emotionally driven.
Right.
And some places, sometimes that works and sometimes that doesn't. But you do a pretty good job of making sure everybody is where they need to be.
Try to put some thought into it. Probably more thought than I should, but it's fun.
So yeah, man, congrats on getting that going. That is such a commendable and beautiful.
I just feel happy to be caught up in the middle of it, and with a whole bunch of people I couldn't do it without.
That's excellent.
I really feel like I just opened a door that a bunch of people were waiting to walk through. And
right place, right time, man. You've met the right people, you've done the right things, you've gone to the right places, and man.
If you're open to that, it kind of happens.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Maybe. That's my theory anyway.
There's two things I'm trying to do more of in life is, number one, say yes. And that's not say yes to every request everybody makes. Boundaries are important.
Right.
But Number one, tell the universe what you want from it.
Boom.
Or you'll never... It also
know.
helps you decide what you want. And number two, when the universe comes back with something a little weird and strange and funny and uncomfortable, try to say yes.
Right. Yeah. I think the same way. And I've just been thinking about that lately. Your natural response be positive instead of, a lot of people are, nope.
Yeah.
Nope. Can't do that.
That makes
Can't
me uncomfortable. That's
like,
a scary place.
Let's do it. So.
You're good. So yeah, folks, get out to Chico Feo if you have an original song, if you have an original poem, or if you just want to be inspired.
Right.
And not even if you're not a creative in terms of that, if you just want to be inspired by creative energy and it wants to make you a better accountant.
I'm addicted to it. Really.
Yeah.
Nothing gets me more fired up than something being made out of nothing.
You catch a vibe off of
Catch a vibe. And it might not even be my flavor of music. And I still get excited about it.
Yeah. That's so cool, man. Well, thank you so much for coming out this afternoon. You want to share one more tune with us?
Sure. I will do Subway, which I wrote after my first trip to New York City. So it's an older song, but we just never did anything with it until now. And it actually mentions Ernest Tubbs record store in it, which actually just sold. And so it was released. I finally had a timely release. Not that 3 people have heard it, but, Ernest Tubbs record store is in the song. Let's see if I remember how to play it. Well, I'm waiting on a subway train and an all-natural cigarette. There's one that won't stay in my brain, and it gets me where I got to get. Oh, where that is, I don't rightly know. Who read about it in a magazine? They said the back of Ernest Tubbs record store was the prettiest place I'd never seen. It's time to flow on down the line, yet taking it easy eases my mind. And I'm living my life from inside of my dreams. Will I jump into that cold muddy river and it washes me clean? Well, this is not a highway song, although the highway's got its part to play. And no story of true love gone, only to return some other day. I know this is a song of the here and now, and the joy that we all gotta spread, and the love that we have to share. Why can't you get that through your head? It's time to flow on down the line, yet taking it easy eases my mind. And I'm living my life from inside of my dreams. Will I jump into that cold muddy river that washes me clean?
Thank you so much for coming out, George. It's been wonderful talking to you and getting to know you a little better, hearing your songs, hearing your stories, and I pledge to make it out to Chico Feo a lot more than I have in the past.
Well, we'll love to have you there, and thank you for all you're doing for original music and songwriters. actually got me into listening to podcasts, which I'd never done really until yours.
All right. Well,
I don't know why.
Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
Well, I hope you enjoyed my conversation with George Fox, a.k.a. Foxy G. It was great getting to know more about him and his music. And I need to not be such a stranger over at Chico Feo on Monday nights. It's a really cool thing he's running over there at the Songwriter Soapbox. If you are a local musician, I suggest maybe even not intend to play the first time around. Just go and see what it's all about. Get to meet George, meet other local musicians in the area. And if I happen to be there, come up and introduce yourself to me. I'd love to talk to more singer-songwriters here in the Charleston area and beyond. Thank you once again for listening to Songs of the Unsung. Check out the Facebook page, website, Instagram, YouTube channel. Always can use those likes, shares, clicks. Have a great day. Thank you so much.